Hi guys, welcome to NLTI. Good evening, everyone. This is Anish, and I'm here on behalf of the National Law Training Institute. You must all know me by now. I am Anish, founder of National Law Training Institute NLTI. Got an all-India rank of 17 in CLAT 2021, and currently I'll be joining my fourth year in the National Law School Bangalore. So today we have among us six toppers who secured fairly great ranks in CLAT and ALET 2024. It's not just the ranks that bind them, but it's their preparation that is the common factor among all of them. They were a part of one study group. They prepared for CLAT together, they prepared for ALET together, and they aced ALET together. And now they'll be joining their dream universities together. So, guys, before we address the elephant in the room and before we delve into the academic stuff, want to hear from you. How did you come across each other? How was your preparation like? How did you bump into each other? And what make you all special? Like, what made you all stand out as one study group who all are entering into national universities? Anyone can pitch in. Anyone can pitch in. It's a very free flowing session. Don't be intimidating. Kids are joining this session to learn and basically as a refuge from their intimidating coachings. So anyone can pitch in. Divas, if you want to start, or Siddhant, if you want to start, you can.
Yeah, so we were not one study group from the very beginning. It was from this meeting, I'd say Guru, Siddhant, Ishan, and Pranav first, and Dhruti and I were separate groups. And then during the later stages of our preparation, we became one whole group, in particular for GK in the beginning. And then later on, we went on to analyze mocks and stuff. So when it comes to Dhruti and I, we became part of the same group when Legal Edge's Super 30 selections were going on, and we approached each other for the interview and helped each other out regarding what might come in the interview and how we should approach it, etc. And then later on, we started solving sectionals, and we felt like we were working in a good rhythm. And from there on, we went onwards. I think Siddhant can give you an idea about how the other four met.
Yeah.
About us, one thing, at least one thing, most of us were on the same page was about that we needed a study group, and we weren't really able to find something in our offline centers that stimulated the amount of passion or effort we were looking for. So basically, I knew one of my friends, a mutual friend, recommended me Guru. So what we used to do was NLTI used to give these mock tests, and their results used to be public. So the top 10, 15 ranks used to be public. So what we did was, usually if you're getting such ranks, that means a certain amount of effort is being put in. So we found those people on the main NLTI group, and we made a smaller group of 20, 25 individuals who consistently gave NLTI mocks and were in the top 15, 20. After that, one day 10, 12 of us sat down together to study, and in the end we realized that I realized that mine and Guru's strengths really sync. So, for example, if I could do critical reasoning where Guru's GK was probably incomparable to someone I've seen before. So, hence I approached Guru with the idea of a study group. I think he can better take it from here.
And I joined NLTI in January, and I was part of Study Group 1, which was created by NLTI itself. And in that Study Group 1, we used to have 9 people, and we were under the same mentee, Prem Bhaiya. So basically, all new things which we were gonna try, like making notes online and how to analyze mocks and various other things were told by Prem Bhaiya. In that process, among those 9 people was Ishan. And what I found that I was really great at GK, and not that I was great at GK, because once I scored a lot many marks in GK, so I got hold of it ki this is something of my strength and I must work on it. So, and Ishan was really great in reading. And in the entire 9 people, Ishan does not used to make great GK notes. Okay? And all 9 of us used to make GK notes, and I think within 2 months, as per Prem Bhaiya advice, we were having 400 long pages of GK notes. But what happened that slowly and slowly, all among those 9 people started putting less and less effort, and it was more on me to to motivate them and to come together and put more effort on their side. Then what happened? We suddenly we were analyzing our NLTI mock together, and we got to know about Siddhant, because Siddhant was the one who got AIA 126 in class 11th itself, which was a very huge achievement for us. And because we
Hmm.
I had been in talk with few people who got under 300 rank in class 11th, but they were kind of very mean to me. But when Siddhant approached me, I found that the guy is very humble and he was really ready to put
Hmm.
in all the effort to make our reasoning good, especially our reasoning, because Siddhant was fabulous with his reasoning in the start, and I was good with my GK. Ishan was good with his reading skills, and we decided that we should together work on these things and put strength to each other's weaknesses. Then in the month of, I think so, June and July, we qualified Super 30 of Legal Edge. And in that process, we came across Pranav, who was also AIR 500 in 11th class itself. And
Hmm.
this was the funniest thing of our entire group, that what happened that I texted Pranav and I was AIR 3000 something in class 11. And I wrote him my IR 3000, and I found matlab, maybe he actually told me later that he was busy with a lot of many people were texting him that night, because Pranav made a
Hmm.
personal group of Super 30 Legal Edge that day, and he texted
Hmm.
everyone that we should make a private group and we should share tips and everything. And I texted him that night and I found him mean. So basically, I wanted to just make him feel that we have a member in our group who is AIR
Hmm.
126 and 11th itself, and we wanted to show it to him. So basically,
Hmm.
me and Ishan acted like dumb people that day, and we texted in Super 30 Legal Edge group, "Oh my God, Siddhant is AIR 126 in class 11th," and something like that,
Hmm.
and everybody was curious, and the first person who messaged was Pranav. "Oh, are you really?" And then he started texting Siddhant that
Hmm.
please tell me since how long you have been preparing up. And
And I think
the beauty of
Persistent
Siddhant preparing
texting.
was
I
that he
need
had
to.
only
Persistent
prepared for
texting.
almost
So
right,
what
right,
happened was I created this
Excuse me,
Super 30
Pranav.
group and
Also, before Pranav, we also need to mention Akshat, who couldn't make it to this session
Yeah.
due to
Yeah.
right,
unavoidable reasons,
Prior
but he was also a
commitments.
part of our study group. So
yeah,
he's from Legal Edge Bhopal, so he actually had access to a lot of
Hmm.
the top faculty there, or he knew mock schedules, etc.
true.
So and he helped us make our GK notes. So I think we'll get to how we did GK in the session. But Akshat was really helpful in making GK notes,
right.
or
Hmm.
even mocks. Like sometimes once like NLTI mocks are tough. So in the 150 pattern, there was one day we got I think in the 60s or 70s, which is probably the lowest we'd ever gotten, and we were in a very bad space. But Akshat in that very mock was able to score 110, and he sat down with us and analyzed that very mock with us. So I
Hmm.
think that was one of the most memorable parts of our preparation, where he got 110 and we were stuck in the 65-70 range for that mock. But yeah, Pranav, go
Right.
ahead with
And then
yours.
Pranav, go
and
ahead.
then how I came in was created the Super 30 group to interact and then to get to know each
Hmm.
other's marks and stuff. Then so I was going around messaging people to join this group where we could discuss our doubts, etc. Then in the group there was this conversation that these people started that Siddhant ek bacha hai, he has got this wonderful rank, and then
Hmm.
I was in search of some people जो साथ में बैठ के solve करे questions who would really motivate me as well, and then we would do our own thing साथ में. So I
Hmm.
messaged him asking about his journey, asking about how he was doing, and then I
Hmm.
really played with him. Please also allow me one chance to just sit with you guys, just analyze one mock with you. And then he was
Hmm.
humble enough, he was generous enough to give me that opportunity.
And,
And
and
then
this was
at
happening
two,
at 3 a.m. 3 a.m. in the
and
morning, this was happening. And whatever Pranav
Hmm.
was texting Siddhant, he was screen sharing with us, and we were just taking fun of him. And we were like, चलो
Hmm.
एक mock interview करते हैं and इसको बुलाते हैं meeting में, इसका interview करते
so
हैं. Does he really
at
deserve to be
3
part of
a.m.
us?
And
Yeah,
Hmm.
at
we
3
had
a.m.
Pranav because our group needed some structure, a strict guy, and through text we thought that Pranav was like really dominant force. But yeah,
Hmm.
But
reality was
we
very
got
humble and
easy
kind.
after that. Yeah.
And
So
also we had a thumb rule that no more than four people. And with Akshat, we had four people. So we had this thumb rule because the process
Hmm.
started with two people, and then eventually three, and then four, and then now we were like, अब five भी आ जाएंगे. So we were very clear before interviewing Pranav that we would not take him. but because of his
Hmm.
earnestness and the way he wanted to be a part of us, and the way he was exhibiting कि
Hmm.
he'll put all his effort and everything, तो फिर उसके बाद
And
eventually
he was also very proud of an a legal age AIOM that we topped in the frame he won. He showed that
Yeah,
to
yeah.
us. So, so that is adding back.
Okay. Right. Then, so Devas and Dhruti were a study group, and you four were a study group, including Akshat. So, how did this end into one culmination, like all of you coming together before CLAT? वो कैसे हुआ?
I think Hemang Bhaiya, who is in NLS right now, he was AIR 5. He is actually close
Yeah.
to Guru, and I even talked to him. So he told us about how he had this group in Bangalore where they used to throw random GK questions at each other. So because when you're a study group, you follow the same pattern. So you limit it to a set number of
Hmm.
sources. So while you might know these sources greatly, this is your entire world. And we felt that what if we're in an echo chamber where we don't know बाहर के aspirants कैसे है या बाहर का GK कैसे है. So that's why, following
Yeah.
Hemang Bhaiya's advice, we decided to approach. I knew Divas personally because we're from the same city, and otherwise we decided to approach other people from the Legal Edge Super 30 group who were otherwise good
Hmm.
in GK or used to consistently get great mock scores, so that we can exchange notes and make sure that we push each other in the final stretch of our preparation.
Right.
also
So, guys, like,
through
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
through NLTI also, this Devas was also part of NLTI, and both Siddhant and Devas were in the same city. And there is a very funny thing why we, well, in the initial period, why we didn't take Devas in our group was that once we analyzed mock with him, and he was kind of
Hmm.
the most dominant person in the entire meeting, and he was having a very really nice reasoning, and his GK was fine, but very nice reasoning. But we already had Siddhant with very good reasoning, and we were like, अगर and I personally was intimidating by Deva's voice because I did not personally like saw him face to face, but मैं intimidate तो हो गया था. तो I was like कि अभी मेरी चल रही है इस ग्रुप में, but देवस आएगा तो नहीं चलेगी. So तब, but later फिर हम लोगों ने साथ में आए गए.
So we have a
But
lot of
हाँ.
these running
Guys, like,
jokes because
yeah,
uh,
yeah. I think Guru is the daddy figure in your group. कि ये बिल्कुल tactically सोच रहा है कि if Divas comes in, मेरी power कम हो जाएगी. If we already have a reasoning guy, we
Kind
don't
of,
need another
yeah.
reasoning guy. However, मेरी ये है, इसलिए we should get a guy who is strong in that aspect. I think he's very strategic in that sense. मतलब ये दिमाग से सोचता है कि
I
बिल्कुल
think
skill नहीं है इसमें.
After seeing
also because अगर discipline
certainly.
सीखना है, so there's no one better than Guru to learn it from, because he used to make sure that even in the last month we used to sit 13 hours doing GK. We used to do 3 hours of quants, RSM. We used to take a break. We used to do 3 hours of either GK or reasoning together. Then we used to
Yeah,
take a
in
break, and
that
then we used
sense,
to sit with this extended study group till 11, 12. So I think
Hmm.
people
in
don't
that
understand the
sense, so
amount of
we
dedication
all
that
we already
to the
learned,
CLAT
yeah,
test.
we already learned from Guru, and we were actually inspired by him. What actually happened was 1 month before CLAT, we all actually loosened up. We weren't
Hmm.
preparing that much, and what Guru was doing was he was going on completing compendiums, revising them again and again for the sixth time, for the seventh time, completing 7 compendiums in a day. So we were actually really
Hmm.
inspired, and then also intimidated by his consistency and hard work, and he was like, अच्छा इतना कर रहा है, थोड़ा सा हम भी पढ़ लेते हैं, थोड़ा जीके हम भी कर
And
लेते
I
हैं.
in
think
this thing, na,
And then,
Guru.
I think Bhaiya, the group had a really impression upon me that they had given me this responsibility, or because of the compliments again and again that तेरी GK तो बहुत अच्छी है, you are doing very fine in
Hmm.
GK. So I used to actually put a lot of effort in GK because I was known in the group
Yeah.
for that thing. Other than that, I couldn't contribute anything. तो मैं especially focus
वही.
करता था कि GK
तो
अच्छी हो.
गुरु को लगा अगर मेरी जीके वीक हो जाएगी मुझे ग्रुप से ही निकाल देंगे ये लोग otherwise because I am not able to contribute in any sense. Yeah. Also, so coming on to the next question, a lot has been talked about analysis that you guys helped each other with analysis. Ultimately, होता क्या था analysis? Like, what was analysis for you guys as a study group? You have attempted a mock today from 3 to 5. How did you guys sit together and analyze it and share your experience and like help each
so
other out with reasoning?
So the
We
analysis was
mainly,
a
yeah.
complete mess. There was no structure that we used to follow per se. It was just three
Hmm.
to five mock दिया या 2 to 4 mock दिया. फिर हम लोग Zoom call पे बैठते थे. सिद्धांत used to go in a different direction किसी एक question से, and then he was like ये
हाँ.
जिसने mock tweet किया है वो उसने गलत किया है और ये तो coaching ही करते हैं और ये है. And then he used to be stuck
Hmm.
on that one particular question. and then we all were going in different directions on any particular question that we would discuss. तो अगर मुझे किसी क्वेश्चन में डाउट है तो मैं वो बोलूंगा, सिद्धांत कुछ और बोल रहा होगा. So it was a complete mess, but I think that was actually the beauty of it, because we could actually say everything in such a clear manner to each other, और हम एक दूसरे की रीजनिंग समझने लग गए थे. तो before the other
Yeah.
person could complete what he would say, I don't know whether it was our impulsiveness or whether we started understanding each other a lot, but हम एक दूसरे को इतना समझ के ना, we would actually counter each other's point, each other's reasoning, and then ultimately we would actually get to the core of it. Sometimes we weren't able to actually solve कि ये एक particular answer पे सबने agree कर ही लिया, and that was the case with most of the questions. But ultimately discussing it with others and getting to know what others are thinking about a question really helps a lot.
And one important thing about analysis is that I think at the end of the day, the day you begin agreeing with everyone's answer is the day the analysis is fruitless, because जितना friction हो, जितने
Right.
opposing idea ways of thinking
Yeah.
interact करते हैं, तभी analysis productive होता है. So इसीलिए मतलब when you're writing the mock and CR में there's two options you're not sure of. The at least the thought in my mind was आज जब जाके analyze करना है कौन सा आंसर मैं defend कर पाऊंगा, because no one likes being wrong, especially when
Fair.
you are so passionate.
Very fair.
तो इसीलिए that मतलब सोचना कि मुझे ये आज डिफेंड करना होगा, this is what I need to go and explain to everyone else, was what helped me pick the right answer a lot of times.
And this thing was in Devas and Dhruti also, that once we used to see that there is a clear cut answer B. Then also they used to be devil's advocate, and they used to give us a different reasoning. What you can add on this perspective, that they used to make sure what author must have thought, or what the exam setter must have thought. And even if they have agreed upon this thing that the author must have or the exam setter must have thought it bad or anything, then also they used to explore this thing. This was very nice of them.
Yeah. And
Yeah, I think
But we
basically,
often thought that the mock in itself is wrong.
yeah, basically all
Right.
this nitpicking between each and every option, I think it really helped getting to a lot of different points of reasoning. And I think that eventually helped, because you understand not just like the student's perspective, but also the exam setter's perspective. And it really helped with future mocks and ultimately the exam.
And I think at least I think this is one of my mistakes, that you learn how to solve the good questions. Like if there's a good difficult question that is GMAT or that's LSAT, that you know there's a right answer, you solve that 100%. But I think sometimes the difference maker is how you approach the bad questions, because in the end, especially in the case of CLAT 2024, I'd say to a large extent a lot of the questions are crap. But I could say that you can see it in Divas, or you can see it even in Prem Bhaiya, who was our NLTI mentor, who we approached once with a joke of a mock. The mock was terrible, and even he realized it and admitted it. But what he, in the end, told us was that he was still able to answer more questions than we were, because he said, "हमें पता है ये question का there's no पक्का definite right answer, but ask yourself what the drafter would think is the right answer, because at the end of the day, CLAT भी कोई drafter बना रहा है, and it's not about whose reasoning is who knows the best, most GK. It's about who gets the most marks in CLAT. Jitna bhi scary this thought is, that's going to be the one which will give you a college. So I think one mistake I made, at least personally, is not learning how to solve the bad questions.
Yeah.
And
so I think when Dhruti and I analyzed mocks, when it was just the two of us, what happened was there was less bantering, because there were less people. And what happened was at certain points of time we had a point of acceptance. We would agree whether the bad reasoning was used, or we knew that we were going too far with our arguments and all. So even when the question did not have perfect reasoning, we could develop that acceptance of having to pick a certain option that we may not have agreed with, if we knew that, okay, we have to apply some sort of good reasoning with this question. And another aspect of mock analysis is that it's not just about arguments for the questions, but it's also about the experience that we had during the mock. Because I think a lot of the times when I started with a particular section, such as quant, and then I faced problems with time management because of it, and then I asked Dhruti about what she did during the mock, a lot of the times I found that the way I approached not just a particular question, but the entire mock itself somehow made it problematic for me. And getting another perspective of how you can approach the entire mock, of how you can reorder the sections, what your mentality should be while solving a particular section, was also a huge benefit during these analysis.
Yeah, another great
Guys,
thing
so
about this group.
yeah.
Yeah. So another great thing about the group thing is that when you do your own study group analysis, like you learn from each other, obviously, and then you get used to that reasoning. You figure out a good way of reasoning, and you start, and both of you, or how many of you, you start using that same reasoning. And that happens with like all study groups. So when you have like a study group collaboration, you see a different kind of reasoning used. You realize that maybe the
Yeah,
reasoning you're using has a flaw that you haven't noticed because you're used to using that flawed reasoning. So the different
exactly.
perspective, like other people also explaining their reasoning really helped in the last month, especially.
And so what we used to do in the last month was we used to write mocks every single day from 2 to 4, and then we used to sit to analyze. But it wasn't just us because we were used to each other's reasoning. Because मुझे पता था गुरु क्या बोलेगा, गुरु को पता था मैं क्या बोलूंगा. We would disagree with each other, but we still knew what both of us was going to say. But what we did was apart from merging the group, we also brought in others who used to consistently get good marks. So some of our friends from NLTI or the LE Super 30 batch. So people we knew whose reasoning we appreciated, we used to get them on board and we used to sit with them so that we could get their perspective as well. So that last 30 days, we could keep refreshing how we use mocks.
Right.
And last point, it wasn't only about mock analysis, but also about hopping on a meeting, turning on the camera, and then giving a mock. And this basically created an environment, a semi-environment though, but this will be specifically helpful for those who are in maybe such a city where there's no center.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Guys, there's one question that students often ask when I tell them to analyze mocks together. वो कहते हैं भैया time waste बहुत होता है कि हम question 120 है, we end up spending like 4-5 disproportionate number of hours that one should spend on analysis, let's say. What is your take on this? Like, I have heard a lot of bantering happen during your analysis session. A lot of the times you went far from discussing what you were supposed to discuss. So how did you tackle that, and what is the importance of like sometimes crossing the lines and sometimes not discussing what you're supposed to? What is the silver lining in that aspect, and what is the ideal time that one should spend on analysis?
I think you can try and time box it, but I feel like when you're in the flow of discussing, like you can't really stop yourself because you have points to share. You can try and time box it initially, but as you get deeper and deeper into prep, I feel like you would want to share your reasoning. And I feel like that's all. It can be good, it can be bad, as long as you don't go overboard. But I feel like a few hours is fine. You can't really time box it. I feel like if you're in a big group, like everyone wants to speak, everyone wants to say something. So yeah.
Yeah. Also, one thing that would really help is having someone who is really focused on getting the thing done. So Guru was the person who used to get the thing done. आज ये चार चीजें करनी है तो गुरु पे है वो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी कि वो खत्म करा के छोड़ेगा. So you can set a rough time limit as to you have to complete it in around this much of time, and then there can be one person who has this thing कि अच्छा ये question पे ये disagreement है, कोई बात नहीं, ये छोड़ के आगे बढ़ो, we'll come back at the end if there's time.
Right, Siddhant.
Actually, I largely agree that a lot of mock analysis is time waste because after one point you start repeating the same points again and again. But I believe it's crucial in two parts of your journey. First is the beginning when you're getting to know what CLAT really is. So you're starting your preparation. At this point, you need to lay down the foundation of your reasoning, the fundamentals of how you're thinking or how you're approaching a question. I think it's invaluable at that point because there you need to understand how you're approaching a question. So I think उधर ले लो 6-7 घंटे बैठ जाओ time pass भी करो but ढंग से mock analyze करो. Then I think it becomes largely irrelevant because you've already learned and you're doing the same things. But I think again in the last 1 month it becomes important because the reasoning you're doing in the last 1 month is not really to try and improve your logic or how you're approaching questions. Rather it's just a feeling of solidarity कि रोज 2 बजे आऊंगा ये शक्ल को देखूंगा जो 2 साल की मेरी जर्नी है. It's adding it's self assurance, right? We've done so much, we've come together, इतना आ गए तो अभी अगर रोज मिल ही रहे इतना and रोज because when you see Guru working so hard you think that there's no way that we won't get to CLAT. So it's like I think it just made us feel better every day coming analyzing. Like even the day of the India World Cup final, I really wanted to watch the World Cup. I've watched I really enjoy cricket. But we used to write a mock every day. वो habit की बात थी. So me and Guru still got on a meet and we still wrote a Vidya mock for 2 hours and then we analyzed half-heartedly and score didn't matter. We got bad scores. Didn't even analyze properly. But just being there, analyzing the mock together and writing the mock together, it just meant something to us, I think. And it kept us going in the last month when, honestly, there's no other motivation except each other at that point.
Yeah, guys, I'll take you one step back. So, sorry, but how did you actually analyze mocks? Like, people are asking this in the comment section. Okay, we got it that you came together and shared your reasoning. Let's say Dhruti got A as the answer, and the correct answer was B, and Devas got it right. Devas explained eventually that why B is the correct answer, and Dhruti explained why she chose A. But how did you go about this for every question? Did you only choose questions in which either of you had a doubt, or did you do this for all the 120 questions? Like, how did you start your analysis, and how did you ultimately conclude it?
So we would go
they are
section by section.
right. You go
Okay,
ahead.
yeah. Yeah, so we go section by section, and then whoever got any question wrong, as you said, they would say, I got this as the answer, and I use this reasoning, and then whoever got the right answer, they explain their reasoning. Like most of the times, I feel like we just like when someone explained the correct reasoning, we'd get it. But then if we didn't, we talk about it, figure it out, either get to like a standstill where you like agree to disagree, or you kind of get convinced. We didn't really discuss GK because you can't really discuss GK. And then even quant, it's like, you either know it or you don't. So only if you had a doubt with the concept, you do it. So it's mostly just the reading, you discuss it, and it takes a few hours, but that's really it. It's just basic discussion.
And since the memory of mock is very afresh to our mind, so there is kind of this irritation in our mind ki how come this person has got this thing right. And during the mock we had already convinced our mind, okay, this question is definitely wrong. If any of my group mate is going to get it right, I am going to get the best out of them to convince me how they have got this thing right. And when we used to do this thing now, so we used to be so resolute about our own answer. But when that feeling of humility comes, no, that other person is right. So that is the moment when you realize, okay, now we have learned something. So that moment is very precious. And that moment comes after 10 minutes. Right.
Yeah, that
Right,
moment
Pranav.
also gives you the learning that during the mock you don't have to be sure कि अच्छा ये तो गलत ही है, ये तो examiner ने ही गलती कर दी. You even in CLAT when you encounter such a question that you aren't able to find a perfect answer for, you have to mark one option that is better than the rest, right? So this also gives you the learning that वहाँ पे बैठ के you have to make the best out of what you have.
So just again to be precise about what we actually do in the mock analysis, is that we take up most of the time we just take up our mistakes or a question that we had
so not discussing the answers that you both got correct.
Not discussing all the answers. So for example, if Dhruti got a question right and I got that question wrong, I'd bring up this question and then Dhruti could explain why she thought that option C was better than whatever option I picked. And if her reasoning, and I would explain my reasoning as well, even though my option was wrong, I'd explain my reasoning as well, and we'd see which one was more convincing. In the scenario where we both got a certain question wrong, we'd look up the answer explanation, we'd try to reread the passage, and then come to an understanding about why the options that we picked, if we pick different options, we'd first tackle which the options we picked were correct, and then we'd come to the correct answer and try to find a certain point of reasoning that through which we could arrive at the correct answer. So it was discussion of the wrong answers. If someone got it correct, they'd explain it. And if we both got it wrong, we'd together try to see why the correct answer is the correct answer. And specifically for quant, I'd like to add, if we did not do well in a particular topic, for example, around I think July or September, legal started putting permutation and combination questions for some reason. And then, so if there was a particular, so Dhruti had maths in 11, 12, so she could help me with that topic the next day. Or if there was a topic that we weren't great at, we'd take it up together and start practicing it the next day. So that was something we would do for quant.
Right.
Because there's more discussion with quant.
And one last thing. Also, another thing we did was going backwards. So once you know what the correct answer is, if you're not able to arrive at a convincing reasoning, you read the question again, you read the passage again, knowing what the correct answer is, and that usually helps with why you think the examiner picked the option that they picked. That's another thing we did.
And
Right.
I
Yeah,
think
Guru,
Guru
your
has
hand is raised.
but
Yeah.
Also, it's better to do a 15-minute pre-analysis because there are a lot of mistakes जो बहुत ही silly होती हैं and you don't have to
Yeah.
embarrass yourself in front of your group. तो उससे टाइम सेव भी हो जाता है एंड उससे थोड़ी सी इज्जत भी बच जाती है कि कैसी कैसी आप गलतियां कर रहे हो. बट अगर इफ यू रियली वांट टू ब्रिंग दैट मिस्टेक्स टू योर फ्रेंड्स तो उससे क्या होता है कि दैट बिकम्स अ कॉर्नर स्टोन इन योर माइंड. ओके, आई एम डूइंग दिस थिंग अगेन एंड आई रियली डोंट वांट टू be embarrassed in front of my group, so I make a point I don't do this again. Right,
and I
Siddhant?
think
Guru,
the
yeah. Go ahead, Sivan.
your method of analysis, it would be foolish to fix it to one method. So like in the beginning we used to do what Diva said, we used to go through every wrong answer carefully together. Later we realized that this is wasting too much time. What we did was we used to do a preliminary analysis, try to solve the options that we could justify to ourselves. We would get it out and then we'd bring maximum 5-7
Yeah.
questions out of every mock and sit with it. And later what we used to do was we used to also realize that, for example, Guru was going through a low where his quant scores were really terrible, and it had nothing to do with ability. Like for example, when we used to sit together and solve quant passages anyway, we used to probably do it as fast as us or sometimes even faster. It just had to do with mock mein quant ka jo wo ho. So we used to
Yeah.
do the stupidest things. We used to sit and figure out how he can approach it, which passage he should approach first so that he's confident, or even how to guess. Because honestly, I believe that we were able to figure out guessing in cons very, very well. So even these PNC questions, which are sometimes outrageous calculation,
Yeah.
when you have 2 minutes remaining in a mock, you can do some bare minimum, bare modes calculation and realize कि last digit ये आएगा या फिर ये option में ये common है तो ये confuse करवा रहा है, and उसके through reach a option. So I think even the stupidest thing you can analyze, like mock order. Like for example, once I was going through a low where my reading section marks were terrible, so I wrote a mock, got terrible marks. Guru told me, "Chal aur ek likh de." I wrote a second mock, and then I still got terrible because once you get a wrong, a bad score, it hits your
Yeah.
ego.
Yeah.
Going at it again and again. And then I called him at 1:15 or 2 at night, and then we were talking about, "Bhai, क्या हो रहा है मेरे को?" And then we tried के क्या क्या तेरे सीआर के मार्क्स कम हो रहे हैं, सीआर के क्यों हो रहे हैं, जीमैट कर रहा है तब अच्छा हो रहा है. एंड मतलब even up to the figuring out what combination of order we need to figure out, everything can be analyzed. So it's just up to,
Yeah.
like if I believe that I can get better of GK from Guru, तो हम बैठ के GK भी एनालाइज करते थे. हम बैठ के गुरु को अगर आंसर नहीं पता उसने एक ऑप्शन क्यों चूज किया वो भी एनालाइज करते थे. So it's just about how your study group is, the dynamics of your study group and getting the best trends out of each.
Yeah.
Guys, so I'm hearing a lot of mental support also. It's not just limited to academic support that you guys provided to each other. Like तुमने बोला कि you had a bad mock, you called Guru, and Guru said एक और mock लिख and let's see if you get it better this time. And then you called him up at 2 a.m. So what I'm gathering is the study group is not just limited to academic stuff, but it's more than that. It's a lot more than that. So what was your experience being each other's study buddies, not just academic? We have talked a lot about academic, however, we are yet to come to GK. So we'll park it for later, the GK aspect. But tell me how important is study group for your emotional, mental well-being during your CLAT preparation, and how is it just more than an academic study group? Anyone can pitch in. Like, Guru, I got you to start. Yeah.
Guru,
Okay,
yeah,
Pranav,
Guru.
go ahead. Pranav. No, it's okay. Pranav, start.
So there were two things mainly that I experienced after being part of a study group. First were these 2-3 a.m. calls that we used to make to each other, and these didn't last less than an hour or 1.5 hours. So we would go into the depth of each and every problem. We used to go on and on blabbering about it. For example, I'm not able to figure out the right legal reasoning mindset or the reasoning that I should use. So I would call someone up, call Guru or Siddhant or anyone up, and then we would go on about. I would ask कि legal reasoning में क्या strategy, क्या mindset है. Then he would try to put it into words, try to explain it for me. Then I would try to integrate into what I do at this point of time, and then we would try to figure out what would be the ideal way to do it, and then actually implement it in mocks. Then secondly, another thing is that for me, CLAT preparation demanded a lot of time. For many people, it's 4-5 hours, but for me, it was longer. So the motivation and that emotional support to actually sit for those many hours with someone who is targeting the same thing is really important. So हम लोगों का क्या था, 8 बजे या 9 बजे we used to sit and इतने 3 hours 4 hours तो ऐसे निकल जाते थे. Then school से आके भी there wasn't that kind of motivation तभी की तभी पढ़ने बैठने की. So if you call someone from that group and then you talk to him, तो एकदम से that thing used to click, and then you get that motivation to study GK again for 3 or 4 more hours. So in that way, I think studying individually, studying alone is really emotionally taxing in some sense. And then if you have two, three more people who are going through the same thing, finding the same things challenging, and then trying to get through them, then that is a really big boost for your own sanity and emotional. Uh,
Ishan.
Yeah, and it wasn't only about कि we'll manage our emotions better, but अगर if we had a rough day and there was this thing in the mind that 8 बजे call है, उसमें हम मजाक करेंगे, कुछ भी करेंगे with GK, so it was also fun, like very fun sometimes.
Yeah.
So there's this thing that goes about we solving GK for 8 hours at a stretch. So we began at 10 p.m.
Damn.
and then we went on till 6 a.m.
And
And then
And
we are not
how when was this? Like in which month? How close to CLAT?
October, November, October, right?
Fairly close, I'd
But we
say.
were very
Also in
careful.
June, July when we had a summer holidays. Yeah.
Yes,
And
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was not about that we wanted to learn something. It was more about that we wanted to irritate a particular member of our group, mainly Akshat. And what me and Pranav, and I think so Siddhant was also there, what we did that we actually was pushing ourselves to the brink of our limits just to irritate him कि हम करेंगे और. And he was like, भाई मैं सोने जा रहा हूँ, मेरी आंखें बंद हो रही है, कट जाएगा मोबाइल, मैं मर जाऊंगा, कुछ हो जाएगा. And we were like, बस एक चैप्टर और, बस एक टॉपिक और, बस एक टॉपिक और. And that day we studied for 8 hours straight, and वो मजा ही था, अलग ही मजा था. It was very fun.
And
so when there are people who are around you doing the same thing, finding the same things challenging, it actually becomes a game, and you start pushing your limits. You start going across it. It actually gives you a high to get through things. So that feeling that you get after getting through something, that is really rewarding.
And I think what separates a good study group from one that isn't as effective is just intention. Like I know that the people who are sitting on the Google Meet with me have only good for me in their mind. मतलब मुझे पक्का पता है कि ये मेरे they're looking out
right.
for me. They know that they will come through, because we've had experiences with people who GK notes, they won't share their GK notes, or they won't really. मतलब we've seen people who are very toxic in that, but there was only healthy competition. Like I'll give you an example. For example, we wrote our last mock was I think 48 hours before CLAT, and Pranav had written his before, and me and Guru had written ours. Me, Guru, and I think Divas was also there. Had written ours 48 hours before CLAT, and Pranav had told us he'd scored 71 or something in that mock. Now when we
80,
gave the
I guess
81,
80.
80,
80,
right.
now when we gave those mock, I think all of us got either 88, 89 or 90 plus. But we knew that if we went, and when Pranav asked our marks, we knew that if we went and told him that hame itne aaye, that's not the kind of mindset you want to be in 2 days before
Yeah.
that. All of us gave him scores lesser than what he had gotten, so that at least he feels that okay,
Yeah. And I
I
actually came to know about this after, actually 10 days after CLAT, that this had
And
actually happened.
most
and
beautiful thing
So,
was that I
mere
I
and
didn't clear CLAT. I didn't clear CLAT because I messed up with GK real bad, and my strongest section I messed up real
You
bad
messed up with
because
GK. Guru, what are
yes,
you doing, man? We'll come to GK. Yeah, yeah.
I
But
I
what
I
are you
was
doing?
preparing from 9 sources, and because what happens when you're good with something, no? So you in CLAT 2024 GK was from the passages,
I
and
want to
I was
Yeah.
not ready to, and my mind was so prepared with GK that I was not ready to accept this challenge, and I did entire GK without reading the passages. So GK messed up real bad. मतलब,
No,
I
no,
covered
wait,
the
wait, wait.
most sources.
Let me question you on this. Did you not
Right.
see the passages that passages had the questions, or did you take it on ego that even if the passages have the answers, I will not look at the passages?
I
या तुम्हें पता नहीं
first
था
I
कि
did
passages में है answer?
I did not notice. I was telling my mind this is a
Okay.
perfect paper again and again. And because in the entire 8 years paper which we had solved, never ever it happened that passages had GK answers. So I could not either expect it also. Also, if people have a tendency to refer to passages if they don't know the answer or they don't have the idea about what is being talked about. But when you have so many facts bumming up in your mind about that topic, then you really want to solve it on your own. आप नहीं सोचते हो कि कुछ मिल जाए कुछ हो जाए. And also my reading speed was slow, so I didn't wanted to waste my time with reading passages. So I messed up real bad. I could not clear CLAT. That's it. And I was very sorry about it. And I was crying for the because every one of these people scored more than 10 marks than me in CLAT. So what happened? And I wrote more than 270 plus mocks for CLAT, more than 270.
270.
Yes, and
Seriously.
it is a very moderate estimate which I am giving, and I did not even write 3-4 elite mocks, not even 3-4 elite mocks, and those 3-4 elite mocks I wrote just a week before elite. So what happened? And I never scored more than 70 marks in elite. So I gave a mock and I scored 91. And I called Siddhant and we gave that mock together. We were on a meet and he told me, okay, he started checking in front of me and he said, okay, I have got 60 or 70. He said I got 70 marks. And I was so shocked. I was like, I am meant for A-Late. I had this feeling ki, okay, I want to do UPSC further in life. A-Late is the best choice. I am meant for A-Late. I am 20 marks ahead of Siddhant, which never happened in my entire life. Then in the next mock, I scored 104. Siddhant scored 80. I was like high above the cloud. Oh, what is this happening? I am meant for A-Late. A-Late is my destiny. And on the day when A-Late results were out, and ऐसी मस्ती में बहुत मतलब फिर कई दिन बीत गए महीना बीत गया and then it got revealed to me and Ishan told me, not Siddhant, Ishan told me that Siddhant अपने मार्क्स कम बता रहा था तेरे को उसके भी 110 आ रहे थे उसको 115 आ रहे थे and he was telling me 80 81 and that really meant so much to me मतलब ना because
But
that hype of getting more than Siddhant really gave that confidence which was needed for the exam for
this
which I was not even prepared. So
this sounds extremely ऐसे अच्छा, but at the end of the day, I'll tell you क्या था. When we all checked their answers together because CLAT consortium had made a mess of the answer key, so we were able to figure out a section and something. But then शाम को जब second answer key आई, we sat down on a Google Meet and decided to check it together. And I'll tell you, Guru sad था, but मैं प्रणव दिवस भी same meet पे थे, and the amount of sad, we were not able to be happy. Like तब in the preliminary answer key, we were all getting 100 plus, which was basically NLS in that answer key. And we had written in the NLTI group इतने आ रहे हैं and you'd say that NLS हो जाएगा, and that was when someone's supposed to be happy, but हमसे नहीं हुआ जा रहा था because we were sitting there and we were like अब गुरु का क्या होगा, because I'll tell you honest to God, he's the most hardworking person I've ever met, and अगर उसका नहीं हो रहा था, we thought that we didn't really deserve it. So the next week एलेट का मुझे तो फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा था, so all we really did was make sure that गुरु का एलेट निकल जाए. That was our only goal, our only purpose throughout the next 7 days. So I honestly think Guru himself did so many things for us during the preparation that it was just a full circle, him deserving.
Oh,
And
right.
the sentiment being that Guru was actually the spirit of transparency and openness was actually, he was a symbol of that. So we were actually in that shock कि अच्छा Guru इतना GK पढ़ता था. Guru was actually the person who used to do things, but Guru का ही नहीं हुआ तो what kind of a thing is this? तो हमें किसी को भी समझ ही नहीं आ रहा था that what is happening. Even like I discussed this with my mom as well, and even she, although she had never met him or had interacted with him, but even through those Google Meets that we used to have, the even nobody could believe what had happened. So I think the A-Late result was actually just a natural thing that had to actually happen. And so now actually Guru is going to NLU Delhi where he'd also get UPSC ki guidance and all, and then NLS would have been that great of an option. So destiny.
Very fair, He'll now go to Rajendra Nagar and just again start preparing for GK. Devas and Dhruti, I'll come to you for this question. They were an all boys group, Bakchodi वगैरह होती थी. But how did you support each other during each other's your time, and what was it like for you guys?
So it was more or less the same thing, as in when one of us had a drop in score, the other person was there with us to maybe sort of console us to
Yeah.
find what the issue exactly was. And often what happens is you yourself cannot see the problems, the mistakes that you are committing, but the other person can. So that sort of helped us a lot. And we would also
Yeah.
have casual conversations with each other a lot of the times, discuss our problems, stuff like that. So the mere fact that there is someone who is facing similar issues as you are, who's in the same
Yeah.
phase of their life of this preparation as you are, was a great matter. I mean, so CLAT does not have as large a community as other entrances such as JEE or NEET. So oftentimes
Right.
you cannot get the same support from your peers at school or other places. So the interactions we had
Yeah.
during mock analysis, GK meets, whatever, even if they were academically oriented, they were even academically oriented meets were a form of emotional support, because the academic orientation we had was not was not matched by our peers at our school or other places that could be fulfilled here. And then of course the problems that we
Yeah.
face, casual conversations, all that was a part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I took a break here, and so I had like this extra like pressure in my head that I had to do it this time. And I was not like a calm preparator, like I was constantly stressed out. And I think I would have like Divas was like very helpful. Like he was constantly like stop stressing out. Like I know you're gonna get stressed out, and he's like offer me like proper solutions. And then even CLAT for me didn't go well at all. And like I was like absolutely devastated. Like I could not like for almost like 2 days, like I could not prepare for ALET, nothing. And then I had to like delete Telegram, everything. So I just did not want to think about CLAT. So then Devas was there and he
Yeah.
was like, you don't need to, think about Telegram and what everyone's saying. Like if there's anything important, I'll tell you. And then he was like a really good moral support during that time. So like it was like, yeah, obviously a lot of casual conversations, lot of prep conversations, but like he was like a proper friend to me because like he knew what I was going through. So that was like really, really helpful for me.
And
And
like
I would have
just
forgotten to register. I would have forgotten to register for ALET if it were not for Dhruti.
Oh, right.
Because I would
Damn.
I
constantly,
reminded him for
I would
almost 2
constantly
months.
postpone it. And in every meet, every meet would begin with ALET के लिए register किया. Did you register for ALET yet? And I was like, oh yeah, I
Yeah.
postponed it.
For
And
almost
we would
two
Same
months, I
credit
reminded
goes to
him.
my group. Same credit. I was like to my group. They were saying, भाई elite के लिए register कर दे, please कर दे, चाहे मत जाइयो, please कर दे देंगे, फोड़ देंगे, छोड़ देंगे. ये प्रणव ने कहा था, दे देंगे, फोड़ देंगे, छोड़ देंगे. And I was like, भाई CLAT clear होना पक्का है, elite तो गया ऐसे ही. लेकिन इन लोगों ने फिर भी मुझसे पेमेंट करा के रजिस्टर करवा दिया एंड हो गया.
like 1 week
And
before
yeah,
CLAT,
that's
we got
something
on a
we
video call. Yeah,
yes.
and we asked Guru कि तूने अपना ALET का सेंटर देखा जो जिसमें एग्जाम है. And he was like, नहीं, CLAT का ही रिजल्ट है जो मुझे चाहिए. ALET तो ठीक है, ऐसे ही है. Then we were like, हमें दे दे details, हम देख देते हैं तेरे लिए सेंटर. He was like, नहीं, ALET तो ठीक है, CLAT ही है जो भी. And then as destiny would have it.
And there's another incident that I'd like to say that we did primarily because तब हमने सोचा था सबके रैंक आएंगे तब इंटरव्यू में जाके ये बोलेंगे. It was that the day before CLAT we got on a video call, we got on a Google Meet and we played Among Us together because it was our way of telling each other कि कल हो जाएगा. You've done everything you can from your end, and we played Among Us for 30-35 minutes just to calm our nerves down. And
we even discussed what breakfast we'll have for CLAT.
We used to discuss.
What was the ideal breakfast to have?
Also, like,
And also,
Guru,
right.
Guru.
How many cups of coffee should one drink before?
yeah, we had a whole coffee routine which Guru had prescribed for us that we followed for CLAT. Okay, mock ke pehle, at 12 we used to have one coffee and at 1:30 we either had a black coffee or an energy drink because Guru had figured out that it was optimal for your head during the It was no science, it was just mere trust. And honestly, right now when we are in this, a lot of this seems like genuine advice, vagara. But the number of inside jokes that we've casually passed via conversation, in the past 1 hour, only we know because it's why we are laughing randomly because there's an inside joke in almost every second sentence we're speaking.
Yeah.
That
Also just to elaborate on what Divas touched upon, so it is very important for anyone who's watching this, like it's important to actually seek and talk to people who are preparing for GLAD and preparing for law entrances, because the insights that you get, the things that you learn from someone who is in the same peer group who is preparing for the same things, it's immeasurable. Like you can't even think about those things at this point in time. So I'd say reach out to people on Telegram, on any group that you are in, whether it's NLTI group or Super 30 or whatever. Just reach out to people and try to find a peer group. Like not spend a lot of time and then sacrifice your own preparation, but spend a decent amount actually interacting with people and getting to know how they are doing.
Even
Yeah,
if
it
you're
you
averse
like
to the idea of study, yeah, yeah.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
Even if you're averse to the idea of study group in the beginning, just try it maybe for 1 month. I was, but after 10 days, I realized that this is what I needed. So just try it for once, maybe for 10 days or even 15 days.
and
And
make the
like
right
if
choices. Take the
and
right
if
as will.
yeah, if you don't have that environment around you in at the school, at where you live, or if you are from a small city, it doesn't matter. Like you can reach out to people online and you can join a group that will eventually lead to you forming a group with someone, or just having interactions, just
Yeah.
analyzing more.
And please don't lie about your mock marks to your study group members, because
Yes, yes,
please, that
yes,
is the one single, because there's already enough people
yes.
saying मेरे को 100 आए 105 आए जिनके नहीं आए. Now if the very
Uh,
people who are closest to you start lying about their mock marks, so
Yeah.
just be honest to each other and
Yes,
say
this is an
Yeah.
advantage. I'd just like to add that this
Siddhant
is a
will
major
just
advantage of having study buddies or study groups is that uh,
Hmm.
you can get online interaction through polls of what scores you are getting or what is the experience and message and all.
so
But someone
Hmm.
who studies with you will give you an authentic experience of what they went through. So
Yeah.
that is a major advantage. Yeah.
in the month of November, there was this mock, and Pranav suddenly got 53 marks. And I was like, either Pranav is in a very dumb phase or is having a drop or something like that. So मैंने उसको ऐसे ही बोला कि भाई क्या हो गया, तो बोला कि मॉक भी थोड़ा ऐसा था और मुझे लग रहा है मेरे अंदर भी दिक्कत थी कुछ, तो मैं नहीं दे पाया, तू भी दे दे. एंड मैंने थोड़ा बहुत मजाक उड़ाया क्योंकि ऐसे ही थोड़ा बहुत मजाक उड़ाते थे मॉक्स को, क्योंकि 53 वाज अ डैम लो, आई थिंक द लोएस्ट ऑफ प्रणव मॉक्स इन दैट ईयर. तो I gave that mock and I got 52 and a half. And I was like, okay, ठीक है, this is honesty, because we were regularly getting 90s then, and then suddenly 53 was like something hard to hear, and then you yourself get
Hmm.
52 and a half. So you don't get disheartened suddenly, oh, everything has fallen upon me, because you know the other counterpart has scored the same. So it is a very good feeling.
and
So
because mocks are
Yeah.
bad, matlab, it is astonishing how
Hmm.
some coaching centers, I don't think it's good to take their names, but despite having so many resources, they'll even compulsorily force you to come to their center and write, but they will give you the worst mock ever. Their drafters will not have
Hmm.
thought one bit. Like वो mock देख के getting a high score is an insult in mock. वैसे mocks भी बनते हैं. So I think इसीलिए you need a study group जो
Hmm.
बोलते हैं कि mock बुरा है तो mock बुरा है. It's not on you. मतलब the drafter was either very
now
lazy while writing the
Yeah.
mock or
now
intentionally wanted
now
to.
we need many study groups to identify the answers to questions made by Siddhant.
Yeah, basically just like
Dhruti has
let
been
go
trying
of
to
your
say something. Yeah. Go.
no, it's not that important, but like just like let go of your
Yeah.
ego, just be honest with your study group, because then everyone benefits. Like there's no point lying, there's no point like staying in a group
Hmm.
where you don't feel like you're benefiting. Just be very honest to yourself and with everyone in the group. I think that's how everyone benefits. Yeah.
also matching of vibes is very important with the other counterpart, because when I met Ishan, I think so we were having a difference of 15 or 20 marks in mock scores, and I was at the upper hand. But I knew that I am getting most of my marks because I am getting good in GK, and this guy is getting literally 2 or 3 marks in GK. But when you see his
Hmm.
reading scores, without cons, he was scoring really nice, 50 or 52, and I was scoring 70s. But when we started working on
Yeah.
each other's strengths and weaknesses, barely in 2 months, he was scoring higher or even as much as me. ऐसे ही चल रहा था फिर तो उसके बाद. And so that was very nice.
Right.
ईशान के साथ I had a more than a study bond, I had a personal bond also. तो वो भी एक अच्छा रहा कि we used to talk late night talks.
And
कि हाँ, ठीक है, असली.
And you
Even
need a
you and
personal
Akshat had a
bond.
very
Like
close relationship.
an academic, and only an academic bond won't work. You need to be friends, like for a proper functioning study group.
Yeah.
Also, guys, just
Yeah,
putting
yeah.
it out there, their study group transcended the online boundaries, and I think Siddhant, Divas, Ishan, and Pranav visited Guru in Amritsar recently. So you see their trajectory met in a random group, maybe NLTI study group or a legal ed Super 30 group, and then prepared for CLAT together for 6-7 months, and then cracked ALET and CLAT together, and then even continuing their friendship still now. Okay, guys. So one last question. It's a very important question. We'll talk about other stuff later on if we have time. It's GK, and I'll ask our GK guru, Guru Pratap, our in-house GK mentor, to shed light on how to properly utilize a study group for GK notes and preparing for
So
GK.
what I believe is that study group is that you set deadlines. Somebody has to be damn serious, that because
Mm,
I saw the perspective change in this group, because the first day or the second day I sat with Siddhant, I was getting serious. First day I tried to entertain him because I was begging him ki please join my group. He was AIR 126, and for me it was a damn
mm,
opportunity to have such a person in my group. So I was trying my best to entertain him with my GK tricks and all that stuff. आपको ट्रिक्स बनानी होंगी, आपको सीरियस नेम्स को कूल नेम्स बना के लर्न करना पड़ेगा। आपको आपको अगर कोई चीज याद नहीं हो रही है तो रेपिटेशन इज द की। कोई चीज ऐसा नहीं हो सकता जो रिपीट करके याद नहीं होगी, चाहे वो 6 कंपेंडियम्स है, 7 कंपेंडियम्स है, आप रिपीट करते रहो, वो आपको याद होंगी ही होंगी। एंड तो बट सिद्धांत यूज्ड टू से भाई इतना ही पढ़ना था तो मैं ग्रुप थोड़ी ना ज्वाइन करता, ये तो मैं खुद पढ़ लेता, ऐसा सिद्धांत ने एक बार मुझसे कहा था। एंड लास्ट में व्हेन 3 months वर रिमेनिंग, he was studying that much only, उससे ज्यादा जितना मैं उसको पुल कर रहा था उससे कई ज्यादा। एंड he was telling me कि अब जोक मत मार, सीरियस पढ़ते हैं। और मैं उसको ट्रिक्स बताता था, बोलता ट्रिक मत बता, याद हो जाएगा। तो वो वैसे एकदम माइंडसेट
mm,
चेंज ही हो गया, मतलब जब डेडलाइन स्टार्टेड
yeah.
अप्रोचिंग उसका माइंडसेट एकदम ही चेंज हो गया था। तो दैट वाज रियली नाइस। एंड व्हाट आई बिलीव इज दैट जीके इज नॉट अबाउट हम बहुत सारा जीके पढ़ेंगे। आई एक्चुअली डिड जीके फ्रॉम 9 sources, एंड 2 of the NLTI मोस्ट प्रिफर्ड सोर्सेज ओवर ऑनलाइन मटेरियल, जिसमें बुक आती है
Mm,
NLTI के एंड द ऑनलाइन सोर्सेज विच दे प्रोवाइडेड। आई डिड दैट टू, आई डिड NLTI गैजेट and many other sources, almost eight
mm,
sources I covered. And when I saw the paper, I'm talking about both ALET and CLAT. CLAT तो ठीक है, GK was in the passage this year, अगले साल आएगा तो आप कर लेना पैसेज से, नहीं आएगा तो कोई बात नहीं। बट आपको जीके
mm,
बट आपको जीके वो नहीं मिलेगी जो आप पढ़े हो। जीके इज बेसिकली अ होलिस्टिक एक्सपीरियंस जो हम गेन करते हैं। हम बहुत सारा इमेंस अमाउंट रीड करते रहते हैं। एंड इवन इफ आई आस्क दीज पीपल, मोस्ट ऑफ सबका क्लैट एलिट यहाँ पे क्लियर हुआ है। जो एलिट में ऑब्जेक्टिव जीके आई थी, इट वाज नॉट it was not from something which we read or which we studied. It
yeah.
was mostly related to those things. And it is not just a coincidence that we all guessed it right and we all got above 22 marks in that. So it was, I
Mm,
believe GK is something, आपको कभी डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चंस नहीं आएंगे, मतलब आ सकते हैं कभी कभी बहुत, अगर आएंगे आपको तो वो सबके लिए इजी होंगे। एवरीबडी इज गोइंग टू गेट
yeah.
20+ स्कोर इन दैट ईयर पेपर। बट अगर कुछ ही लोगों के आ रहे हैं तो इट इज बेसिकली इमेंस अमाउंट ऑफ रीडिंग अबाउट ऑफ जीके। एंड कुछ सोर्सेस, आप 3 sources पे स्टिक करना चाहते हो, 4 sources पे करना चाहते हो, स्टिक करो। एंड यू विल गेट
Mm,
दैट नाइस फीलिंग व्हेन यू गिव वेरियस, आप अलग अलग कोचिंग के मॉक्स लिख रहे हो, आप 3-4 कोचिंग के मॉक्स लिख रहे हो, अगर आपको वो जीके मिल रही है कहीं ना कहीं पे, कोई अगर इवन आपको वो एग्जैक्ट क्वेश्चंस नहीं मिल रहे, वो टॉपिक मिल रहे हैं, तो यू आर गोइंग द राइट वे। आप टॉपिक मिस आउट नहीं कर रहे हो, आप अपने मॉक्स से भी जीके उठा के
yeah.
उनके बारे में रिसर्च कर रहे हो, यू आर रीडिंग दैट जीके लॉन्ग इनफ, आप उसमें से कोई टॉपिक छोड़ नहीं रहे हो। इसके बाद आई आई पर्सनली फील लाइक उसका किसी भी टाइप की जीके आ जाए, चाहे आपको उस पेपर में से कुछ भी नहीं आता होगा तो भी यू विल गेस इट राइट, ऐसा ही
Mm,
होता है हर टॉपर की
yeah.
साथ, शायद ऐसा ही होता है।
Guru, you
I,
should tell them what we did, matlab the exact method, so that I think it's probably an ideal way to go about GK. Prem Bhaiya prescribed some of it and we added our own element. So
So
Go ahead, Siddhant. You only. Okay.
okay. So basically
Siddhant,
what we did was, in the beginning it was me,
Yeah.
Ishan, Guru and Akshat. So all of us used to come on a Google Meet. We had very clear rules. So let's take the example of CLAT Express. So we used to sit with a compendium. We used to sit at 9 p.m. So now compendium say everyone used to start reading together, and Guru occasionally used to ask questions. So if it's a 2-page topic, he used to ask a question, ask a question, ask a question. Meanwhile, Ishan, for example, would Google दृष्टि IAS पे same topic के related क्या information हो, या फिर Indian Express पे अगर इसका article आया तो उसमें क्या information था. So he used to take that and bring it to the Google Meet, and Guru used to ask questions from whatever topic we were covering. So for example, if we were covering say Nobel Prizes, first peace Nobel Prize कहाँ आया, or whatever is written, Guru उससे question पूछता था, ईशान दृष्टि की information ले आता था, and Guru would ask extra questions related. So if you're talking about Rabindranath Tagore, then you'll automatically connect it to heritage because of the events of the past year. So then we used to slightly tangent to heritage, and I used to search a little bit about heritage and say, and Akshat had an iPad, so he used to annotate on the CLAT Express, and I think that was the most amazing thing ever, because a compendium, so he used to underline the important lines, and then for example if it's written peace prize, he used to say peace prize arrow first year, last year, other honorable peace prizes ye. So then in a compendium we didn't just have peace prize here, we had 4 other tangential topics and 100 irrelevant but still helpful information in the compendium. So I think that's what you should do. You should take compendium, sit with your study group, and either make notes or annotate within the compendium and take topics and make it a group thing so that everyone is involved. So when because you read it and repeatedly saying it.
Guru.
And Guru, can you also share your song with them, because I think it will be helpful. The millet song, will you help us?
Okay, so this needs to come here. This is hot content. So basically, there are various types of crops. For example, Rabi crops and Kharif crops. So they were saying कि कैसे याद करें. So I came up with this thing ऐसे कि, and these are Kharif crops. I sang like this. Paddy maize, jowar bajra, turmung, urad cotton, jute, groundnut, सोयाबीन. और फिर उसके बाद खारिफ क्रॉप्स, wheat barley pea, gram mustard. तो ऐसे मतलब we used to make songs and things, and ये आप बिलीव नहीं करोगे, ये 2 साल पुराना जोक है, and this is still active in my mind, क्योंकि हम लोग कभी कभी ऐसी मजाक में बोल देते
Because Guru is 6'2", he is all strong, और अगर आप इसको ऐसे पर्सन में देखो तो he is very intimidating as such, and when he's singing it's a whole different so.
Also another strategy that Siddhant devised was he made a OneNote document where he added all the years. So for example 2000, 2001, 2002, then he added all the years, and then whenever we used to come across a GK fact, we used to add that there. For example 2000 से related कोई चीज हुई थी तो 2000 में की heading के अंदर ही वो सारे facts वहाँ पे आ जाएंगे. So what used to happen was, if we were reading, for example, a compendium of a random month, and then we used to come across something that happened in 2000, so our mind was also reminded of other things that happened in that particular year. So that way you can make mind maps and then connect things so that you can remember better.
बस one thing, year सही चीजों को allot करना, जो हमने काफी बार नहीं किया था.
Okay, this is an inside joke. I don't get it, but okay. Also, like one doubt. So, did you not maintain like a Google Doc or something like that? I get your point about OneNote, but
Dhruti and I maintained a Google Doc. So what we did was we had GK Fiesta, and they would release a list of topics every week. So what we would do is divide those topics and then make notes from those topics on a common doc. And often what we would do was take 3-4 compendiums, select the most important topics from that compendium, study it, and then make quizzes. We'd set a deadline that on this day we'll make a quiz, share it with each other, and then solve it, and then see our scores, the questions we got wrong, and so on.
And in our group, the hardworking person was this Pranav. He basically newspaper notes. He made newspaper notes. Indian explained portion. They were almost, you could say, very useful explained paper notes. Once I got into a competition with Pranav that okay, I'll revise as much notes as, and they were Pranav notes in Pranav handwriting, and I was revising at his speed. And after 4 hours, I was having a headache, vomiting, and everything because बहुत ही ज़्यादा facts थे उसमें. And Pranav also had a mock compendium. Every coaching mock which he gave, he made notes out of that out of those topics. What are the question asked? उनको एकदम point wise लिखा था. So and the best thing about Pranav was that he was doing it from past 1 year, and the moment he came in our group in June July, he shared everything with us. Past,
Just again,
okay,
yeah.
one thing we didn't mention at all. Okay, there is a very senior citizen present among us, and this person, Pranav Mittal, is preparing for CLAT
Founder
since
of
class
CLAT.
9th. He is the founder
What?
of CLAT. Yes, he has given
Yeah,
CLAT
joking.
thrice in 9th, 10th, and 11th.
Bro, for real, did you give CLAT 21 also? What was your rank in that? Did you score more than
I
me?
I gave 22, 23, and 24. I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, and
I'm same.
I
Otherwise, I would have been ranked. I would have gotten a rank down if Pranav was there.
But he got fabulous rank in all of them, 1200, 500, and then now. So
Damn.
nice, Pranav.
38.
Yeah.
Nice, someone impressive.
Better than better than me in all the three clads.
actually Rishabh might not remember this, but I was actually in the same Zoom call in which Rishabh Shivani was in standard 9. So yeah.
And also, matlab, this is irrelevant, but we'll just matlab, NLTI's contribution, I think, to one thing was like even Abhinav Bhaiya, for example, he's AIR 1, and before CLAT 24, we had done nothing, and he had no reason, but he texted us and said all the best before the day of the CLAT, and I think we probably asked him one doubt or two doubts. He'd barely talk to us, but when, like for example, AIR 1 of the last year is texting you all the best, I think you just feel more confident, and इसलिए NLTI creates this sense of brotherhood or belonging, which I think is irreplaceable in that sense. So not just me, several others have also felt that. So,
Yeah.
ये तो
So in
this
that
this
sense,
this
Yeah,
what
this
certainly.
credit
yeah,
to
what
this credit to NLTI will always be there for this study group to be found, because ऐसे
Yeah,
randomly
yeah, we
मिलना तो
met
काफी
each
मुश्किल
other.
Yeah,
होता.
even
and
Dhruti
Yeah.
and
and,
I.
and,
actually,
I think,
And
and I
Prem
think
Yeah,
was
you
what
met to
also
actually
very
NLTI.
helpful.
I'd
and
recommended
I think
someone
what
to form a study group to NLTI, but I think right now you've made the number of the people visible in the group, you've hidden it. So I think they were not able to find
Okay.
people via the main group. I think that if you keep it on, it will be convenient for
For
them to
sure.
find
Yeah, yeah,
people, because otherwise, when you're allotted study group, your vibe might not match. But if you go and text
fair.
people
Very
randomly
fair.
and find people through the
Yeah,
main
yeah.
group, that's what we did, and that's what worked for us.
And
So that was the
just to
Right.
add, yeah, just to add to what was said. So the thing is that as a CLAT aspirant, when someone who has actually made it actually talks to you or actually messages or interacts with you, it actually other than getting helpful advice, it is actually a big morale boost. So in that
Oh,
sense, what NLTI
Yeah.
has done is really commendable. So that I think is really helpful because even in my personal experience, when I only went on a 20-minute call with someone who had got a rank the previous year. Other than what he told me, it was a big morale boost that yes, there is someone who is willing to help me,
Yeah.
and there are people who believe that I can actually make it. So
and
that thing,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I think NLTI Super 30 also, I think it's a very chill concept because there's no pressure to be formal. Like legal at Super 30, as nice as it is, they have a lot of rules. कि ये करना है, वो करना है, you can't talk. Like,
I
मतलब
didn't
legal
make it. I didn't
I
make
didn't
it
either.
because
I
my
didn't.
page refreshed twice.
but मतलब
Who
my
all
point is that
were
legal at
part of Super 30? Ishan wasn't there. Guru wasn't there.
I was there. Yeah.
I
Ishan, I was
wasn't
there.
there.
Okay.
But
Three
what I
out
was
of
saying is
six
that
were. Yeah.
legal at Super 30 में they set into a whole set of rules कि ये करना है वो करना है, and you're practically not allowed to talk to aspirants. You have to find your
Yeah.
loopholes. But NLTI के group में you can randomly ask any question, and everyone's very chill on that. So there's no formalness. So it's I think more wholesome as such than any other experience in that
Also,
term.
Right.
also,
Thank you so much, guys.
many
That means a lot. Yeah.
also many aspirants have this in mind while preparing for CLAT. When they haven't talked to a topper in person, it's more like, okay, they are a very different breed, or they are very different person from us, or they might have a
Yeah.
very privileged school or something like that. वो सब
Yeah.
बहुत सारा दिमाग में भर जाता है. एंड फिर लगता है कि मतलब हमसे नहीं होगा, हमारे लिए कोई भी कॉलेज अच्छा रहेगा. बट
Yeah.
जब आप उन लोगों से बात करते हो, जैसे हम प्रेम भैया से हफ्ते में 2 बार बात करते थे, और प्रेम भैया जिस तरीके से जोक करके ये बताते थे कि उनके साथ इससे बदतर हुआ है, तो वी यूज्ड टू बी सो हैप्पी कि
Hmm.
ओके ठीक है, वी ऑल आर इन द सेम फेज, और ये सब वो सब. तो दिस वाज वेरी ग्रेट, राइट?
Yes, even meeting someone like Pranam.
And Siddhant and Manish.
Yes.
Pranav should be declared like the next chairman of
So
consortium.
whenever there used to be
He
any
has been there
ancient,
longer than Khazan Mustafa and others.
Also, I think Bhaiya, one very valuable insight that I don't think anyone else provided was Abhinav Bhaiya. He was able to spot that the sample questions with the consortium released on the website, they were probably spare questions of last year. Because if you look at the quality of those sample questions and look at the CLAT paper, there is a huge difference. And if you look at those questions and last year's questions, you can find that a similar drafter made them. Abhinav Bhaiya was able to give us this insight before the paper. So which I think hardly any coaching teacher would be able to
Yeah, yeah,
recognize.
Yeah,
true.
right. Any last thoughts, guys, before we wrap this session? Any credits you want to give each other before you start on with your respective law schools? When is NUJS opening, Siddhant?
25th we have to report next month, July.
I think most terrible life right now is of Pranav's only, who is heading to NLS. When are you heading, Pranav? When are you going to NLS?
I'll be leaving a day after tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, Leah, what are your last thoughts on your study buddy group? Acknowledgement, appreciation, credits, any?
So I actually was preparing for so long before I actually found these people. So I can actually distinguish between what my experience was like before that, and then when I studied, what was
Yeah.
that like. So I think to everyone who is out there, like to at whatever level you are, you actually should go out and talk to people. You should actually seek help. You should actually, discuss things, be open with people. And then when you actually find a set of people, you should try to get your barriers down, get that competitive mindset down, and then try to share things with
Yeah.
them. So that essence of a study buddy group is what will really help you, and it will lead to a really big boost that you will get, right, academically as well as in other ways. So I'd suggest to everyone who's watching this that they should actually go out and try to get
Yeah.
get people. Yeah.
I believe that after you achieve all the ranks and you go to your dream college, so there is this feeling that how my 2 years went into this preparation. So I want you
Yeah.
guys not to feel that they all were in void, or like you didn't enjoy your life anything, or you sacrificed too much. Because when you are alone preparing for something, na, things starts to pile up and inundate your minds with various things, and उसके बाद आपको बहुत बुरा सा
Yeah.
लगता है. But whenever we as a group look back at our time, we always cherish those memories more than this time when we are actually very free.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
मतलब हमारा preparation time was more chill and more fun than the time when we are all alone. अब कुछ है नहीं agenda करने को. So that's the best part of
Yeah.
having a study group, that you get to make precious memories which
Yeah.
you'll
Yeah.
forever enjoy. These memories are never going to go in vain, or कहीं पे they won't fade away ever. That's from my side.
Yeah.
And even after getting the college, because once you haven't really made it, you are like कि बस एक college मिल जाए, बस I just want to get there. But after you have made it,
Yeah.
after it has all sunk in, after some period of time, you actually figure out that it was actually those moments, it was actually that hard work, those
Yeah.
moments you shared that really matter. So don't shy away from actually putting things in and then doing the
Yeah.
hard work that you do.
Right. Any other? Anyone else who wants to speak?
I think they summed it up really well.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
think one thing we not mentioned throughout is how Ishan kept the group jolly. Like, matlab, on our worst days, it was he. Matlab, even when mock, like we were open to joke about anything. We'd joke about each other's mock scores. We'd joke about
Yeah.
every single thing there is. And I know matlab, these compliments make him uncomfortable, and you can see it on his face right now. But as in, he was like the. Even on the
Yeah.
because Guru would keep pushing us 4 घंटे 5 घंटे GK करते रहो, and then Ishan would crack a joke in the middle, which was, I think both of them together were both the ends and they balanced the string well. So
Yeah.
that only
And
because of
Ishan and
the push was the pull was equally.
Yeah.
and in
Guru,
our
you're
study
saying
group
anything? Yeah.
we had assigned roles, and Ishan was assigned the role of God. So the God
So
himself. So whatever
yeah.
he used to say, it becomes the testament of the study group. So one day we were deciding what would be the name of our study group, and he said, "Pata nahi," he said out of nowhere, Ishan didn't used to learn articles at all, and he didn't used to remember them also. तो जब भी इससे आर्टिकल पूछो ही यूज्ड टू रिप्लाई आंसर बैक लाइक व्हाट इज आर्टिकल 123 व्हाट इज आर्टिकल 123 एज अ रिटॉल्ट एंड देन ही सेड हमारे ग्रुप का नाम होगा आर्टिकल 123 ऑर्डिनेंस बिकॉज आर्टिकल 123 इज ऑर्डिनेंस एंड ही सेड कि ये ग्रुप का नाम होगा एंड आई सेड नहीं ये नहीं होगा बहुत घटिया सा नाम है एंड समथिंग लाइक दैट एंड बिकॉज ही वर असाइंड द नेम ऑफ गॉड तो सिद्धांत ज्वाइन द बैंटर विथ हिम कि नहीं नहीं अगर ये नहीं होगा तो तू अकेला है स्टडी ग्रुप में एंड देन आई सेड नहीं भाई रख लो जो रखना है एंड and thus the name
So
of the group was from
yeah.
article ordinance 123.
So
And
to
ordinance
all
was
the
in the news
Indians
then,
out
so
there,
we used the word
there
with
is a
answer.
new religion that you can follow, Ishanism,
Ishanism.
as,
Ishanism.
as we call it. Yeah.
But yeah, I
Great,
may
great.
disconnect because of my battery. So I
Sure,
may
sure, sure.
disconnect
Yeah,
because
yeah,
of my right.
we are just wrapping it up. Thank you so much, guys. Siddhant, Dhruti, Guru, Devas, Ishan, Pranav for joining in. It really means a lot to see you guys again after cracking CLAT, and thank you so much for trusting NLTI with your preparation last year. We really appreciate you taking out time and joining this session today, especially Pranav, who must be busy with packing and stuff and leaving for NLTI
No,
tomorrow.
it's yeah,
So thank you so
it's
much,
an
guys.
honor.
I hope to see you, Pranav, on campus. I'll
Yeah,
come
yeah,
to I'll come
definitely.
to Bangalore on first, so I hope to see you then. Thank you so much again, guys, for joining in, and that's it for today's session. Thank you, everyone who's watching us live on YouTube and Instagram. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. All
Thank
Thank
right.
you
you.
for the
Bye bye.
session.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. Have a good night.
Bye.
You too.
Bye.